Ever wondered how a company takes on a real tech giant and actually manages to win? Today, we're diving deep into that epic battle between Spotify and Apple. It was a clash that, well, it really did reshape the future of digital marketplaces.
Absolutely. We'll unpack the strategies, the moves Spotify made to challenge such a powerful platform, and what this whole deep dive means for you as a consumer, and maybe for the future of digital innovation itself.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. Back in 2009, Apple actually welcomed Spotify onto iOS.
Right.
Seems collaborative, right? But things started to get, let's say, really interesting pretty quickly after that.
They did.
Mhm.
By 2011, Apple brought in these new in-app purchase rules. They demanded a frankly staggering 30% cut of revenue from digital goods sales. And crucially, they banned apps from even mentioning other ways to subscribe outside of Apple's system.
Wow, 30%.
Yeah. And you can see how that move instantly squeezed companies like Spotify. I mean, they were already operating on really, really thin margins.
So, yeah, for Spotify, with those tight margins already, that 30% must have felt like an immediate threat, right? It kind of forced their hand, didn't it?
Yeah.
Were they just trapped, like raise prices for users by almost a third, or basically risk their whole business model?
That's pretty much it. They were absolutely cornered. And then fast forward to 2015, Apple launches Apple Music. So
Hmm.
suddenly, the owner of the platform, the App Store, is also your direct competitor.
Right, and a competitor with huge advantages.
Exactly. Think about seamless Siri integration, getting Prime placement on iPhones, super frictionless sign up compared to anyone else. It raises that big question. How do you compete when the platform owner is playing on the same field but also setting the rules? Potentially delaying your updates, making the environment fundamentally uneven.
And that directly impacts users, right?
Totally. It forced users into, well, either paying more through Apple or dealing with these confusing workarounds just to subscribe directly.
So by 2019, it sounds like things really came to a head. It became untenable. Spotify was actually losing subscribers, not because people didn't like the product, but because Apple was making it deliberately difficult to sign up compared to Apple Music. So, I mean, how do you even start to tackle that? How do you change a tech giant's mind when they hold so much power?
Well, Daniel Ek, Spotify CEO, he knew it couldn't just be a legal fight. That wouldn't be enough. It had to be about winning hearts and minds, too. So they launched that campaign, Time to Play Fair.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, it was brilliant, really. It took these complex, kind of technical issues like commission fees and platform rules and turned them into compelling human stories. They didn't just say 30% fee is bad.
Hmm.
They showed how Apple's policies directly affected your ability, the listener's ability, to easily buy an audiobook through Spotify or use it smoothly on a HomePod. They made the abstract feel very real.
And they didn't fight alone, did they? They built up quite a coalition.
That was key. Not just the big names you'd expect, like Epic Games and Match Group, who had similar issues, but also smaller developers, people sharing these really heartbreaking stories about their businesses basically crumbling under that 30% fee.
Yeah, you can really feel the kind of desperation there, knowing how much work goes into building an app just to hit that wall.
Exactly. And connecting this to the bigger picture, Spotify used this multi-level strategy. It was quite sophisticated. There were the formal legal complaints to the European Commission, yes, but also that very slick public relations campaign we talked about. Plus political lobbying and even finding, creative technical workarounds for some of Apple's restrictions. And all along, they meticulously documented years of what they saw as arbitrary app rejections, building a solid case.
And, well, it worked. It started to pay off. In 2021, the European Commission formally charged Apple. That was huge.
A major turning point. After a really thorough investigation, they charged Apple with abusing its dominant position. And from there, you saw the dominoes start to fall globally. Countries like South Korea, Japan, they started forcing similar changes.
But the really massive shift, the earthquake, came in 2024, right?
Right.
With the EU's Digital Markets Act.
Oh, absolutely seismic.
Yeah.
That legislation was specifically designed to curb the power of these big tech gatekeepers, as they call them, to foster fairer competition. And it forced Apple into making really unprecedented changes, allowing alternative app stores, letting developers process payments outside Apple's system without that huge commission. It was a fundamental shift in the power balance.
So looking back at this whole saga, what really stands out? I mean, Apple did eventually revise that infamous 30% fee structure. And you saw this sort of new wave of digital innovation potentially unleashed as developers got more freedom. It feels like it became a kind of blueprint, maybe, for how to challenge these incredibly powerful platform monopolies.
Yeah, the story of Spotify versus Apple is definitely a reminder that even the biggest titans can be challenged, and that maybe consumers aren't completely powerless in how these digital spaces evolve.
It really leaves us with a provocative thought, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In a world so dominated by these powerful digital platforms, these ecosystems that are central to our lives, what responsibility do you, as a consumer, maybe as an innovator yourself, have in advocating for fair competition, for truly open digital environments where new ideas can actually thrive?